Welcome to the Wall of Fire New Covenant Ministries. Thank you for joining us. This ministry is going to be about a few things. 1, fulfilling the Great Commission. 2, growing disciples. And 3, willing to grow into being a 100% committed New Covenant Christian. Again, thank you for joining us. I've already given some lessons out there on some basic lessons or just some opening lessons on discipleship and fulfilling the Great Commission. I'm going to look at 4 qualifications to live with the consuming fire. In Isaiah 33:14-25, it is written, "Sinners in Zion were terrified. Trembling has seized the godless." Hypocrites in the King James Version. Who among us can live with the consuming fire? Who among us can live with continual burning? He who walks righteously and speaks with sincerity, he who rejects unjust gain and shakes his hands so that they hold no bribe. He who stops his ears from hearing about bloodshed and shuts his eyes from looking upon evil. The first qualification to the dwelling with this consuming fire mentioned here is he who walks righteously and speaks with sincerity. Isaiah 33:15. That refers to those who walk according to the light that they have, in sincerity in their private lives. They may not be perfect, but they are sincere. They are not hypocrites. If there is one thing that we must fear more than anything in the church, if there's one thing that we must fear more than anything else in the church, it is giving people an impression about our spirituality that is not true. Do you give others the impression that you pray a lot when you don't pray at all? Do you give them the impression that you fast much when you don't actually fast that much? Do you want others to consider you as wholehearted when you're not? Then you're in danger of falling away, not because you are imperfect, but because you are insincere. God desires truth in our inward part. The hypocrites in Zion trembled because they were afraid of being exposed. The second qualification to live the consuming fire is rejecting unjust gain. Isaiah 33:15. In other words, being righteous and faithful in money matters. We may have thought that the alternative master to God is Satan, but Jesus stated in Luke 16:13 that the alternative master to God was mammon, money, and material riches. No believer imagines that he can love God and Satan at the same time. But there are multitudes of believers who imagine that they can love money and God simultaneously. No believer will ever fall down and worship Satan. But there are millions of believers today who worship mammon and who imagine that they can worship God too. But they cannot worship God. If they are not faithful with money, they don't realize that mammon draws a person away from the true and living God. The third qualification to live with the consuming fire is shutting our ears from hearing about bloodshed, Isaiah 33:15. This is more than avoiding gossip. This refers to not wanting to hear even someone else gossiping. A God-fearing man will shut his ears not only to the main accuser of the brethren, Revelation 12:10, but to the accuser's agents as well. When a person is accuser of the brethren, they're actually holding hands with Satan. We're going to have a lesson on that coming up in a couple of weeks or next week sometime on really what that looks like and what that means. The other part of this is there's the old phrase or the old question that came out years ago, what would Jesus do? The better question for me, would Jesus be in fellowship with you? Can you be in fellowship with you in any of these qualifications and anything else? What you hear, what you see, etc., and what you do. A fourth qualification that is mentioned here. To live with the consuming fire is shutting our eyes from looking upon evil. Those two bodily senses, hearing and seeing, are the main channels through which good and evil enter our minds. We must decide what we allow to enter in. One who lives with the consuming fire does not look upon what will defile his spirit. Again, in fellowship with Christ, what we're looking at, what we're hearing, doing, etc., can we remain in fellowship with Christ? God bless you. Please look forward to more lessons and continually growing as disciples. Have a great day.